Hello, and welcome to the Dialogue on Dialogue podcast. In 1956, Earl Nightingale recorded The Strangest Secret, launching a new era in self-improvement. Over his lifetime, he created thousands of radio and audio programs exploring success, purpose, and meaning. This project is my personal reflection on those ideas, what they meant then, and how they apply now, as I work to put them into practice and invite you to come along for the ride.
Episode 5: Thinking, Competency, and Originality. As Earl Nightingale reminds us, people don't need to be educated nearly as much as they need to be reminded. This series is about remembering the truths we already know and learning how to live them. Chapter 5 opens with a bold claim. Thinking is the highest accomplishment of the human being. It's what separates us not only from other living creatures, but from one another. And Earl goes so far as to say that thinking itself should be explicitly taught in schools. That idea made me pause. How much time do I actually spend thinking each day? Not reacting, not consuming, not doing, but deliberately thinking. One hope I have for this project is that it forces me into more constructive thinking. And I've learned something about myself along the way. The best way for me to think is to pose a question, especially one I don't immediately know the answer to. A good question creates friction, and friction produces thought. Earl introduces two types of thinking: convergent and divergent. Convergent thinking is about process and precision. It answers questions like, how do I make a cake? And what are the steps? What comes first? What comes next? Divergent thinking, on the other hand, involves people. It asks questions like, how do I get my coworkers to stop arguing about who leads the stinking project? There's no single correct answer, only better or worse approaches. For me, convergent thinking is often the most immediately rewarding. There's clarity, there's progress, and a clear sense of completion. But most of my real work, and probably most of yours, lives in the world of divergent thinking. And while it can be deeply rewarding, it's also messier, slower, and more unpredictable. Next, we're going to talk about the competency, the foundation that this leads to the idea of competency, the C in Earl's core framework. The first goal of any meaningful pursuit is simple: become competent at the work. The fastest way to build competency is to learn more about the domain you're working in. That often means studying someone who has already doing, being, or having what you want. Here, Earl quotes one of his favorites, Henry David Thoreau, on writing. Write as well as you can and finish what you start. If you want to write like Thoreau, don't start by reinventing the wheel. You read what he wrote, you study his style, you emulate the qualities you admire, and most importantly, you finish what you begin. Next, Earl talks about the paradox of conformity. At first, the final idea in this chapter sounds like a contradiction. Earl warns against conformity. He reminds us that roughly 95% of the people go along with the herd because it's safe, it's easy, it's comfortable. Conformity, he argues, is the opposite of courage. So here's the question. If I'm emulating someone I admire, am I not conforming? The insight I took from this chapter is subtle but powerful. When you emulate someone who has done great work, you're not conforming, you are following the path of someone who has already refused to conform. They did the hard work of thinking independently, developing competency, and standing out. Emulating original thinkers is not conformity, it's apprenticeship. And once you achieve competency, something new becomes possible. You're no longer copying, you're creating. You can move into new territory, develop original ideas, and advance in ways that only you are capable of doing. So, chapter 5 leaves me with this reminder: think deliberately, build real competency, learn from original minds, and only then step beyond them. Until next time, remember, the answers are older than we are and just as relevant today.